If we look at the recent developments in India's Eastern Theater, Indian plans and activity around the area have increased. Many analysts interpret this as a move to strengthen the country's strategic posture in the eastern Indian Ocean. And many even call it the required aggressive fortification by the Indian armed forces. Whether all of this qualifies as aggressive or not, there are numerous indications that they are not wrong. This is because there have been developments not only in defensive, but also in offensive capabilities. INS Baz, located on Great Nicobar Island, is being extended from 3,500 feet to 10,000 feet. The main purpose is to allow fighter jets and heavy transports like Su-30s, C-17 Globemaster, and P-8I maritime patrol aircraft to operate directly from the southernmost island. This makes it a true forward operating base at the gate of the Malacca Strait, which is one of the busiest choke points. The same goes for Shibpur in North Andaman. This base too is being upgraded to 10,000 feet. There are other airfields as well which are also being upgraded in some form, like Car Nicobar and Port Blair's Veer Savarkar International. But the current focus of upgrade programs is indeed on Shibpur and Campbell Bay, because they extend India's operational reach north and south, covering the entire archipelago and the sea lanes around them. All these can lead to more military assets and force projection capabilities through India's fighter jets. Also, the Defense Ministry is considering the Indian Air Force's proposal to acquire 114 made in India Rafale fighter jets. Rafale has a combat radius of 1,800 kilometers with drop tanks. From Car Nicobar or Campbell Bay, Rafales could cover the Malacca Strait, South Andaman Sea, and parts of the South China Sea. This directly complements India's ambition to monitor and control choke points. Even though permanent basing may or may not happen because of logistical nightmares, rotational deployments would be highly effective. India is also evaluating the Rafale M for its aircraft carrier. This creates commonality between the Air Force and the Navy. Senior Indian Army and Navy commanders have openly acknowledged that extra-regional forces like the US and China are increasing activity in the Indian Ocean, making this area more critical for India's defense posture. India cannot afford to keep this region underdeveloped for its armed forces. This is why India is seeking a bigger role in Malacca Strait patrols, citing the Andaman's proximity. It is a maritime security cooperation among Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. India wants to play a role in patrols, surveillance, intelligence sharing, etc., and possibly contribute assets for coordination of patrols. Singapore has reportedly expressed support for India's inclusion in MSP, following a meeting between Prime Minister Modi and PM Lawrence Wong. The Tribune reports that India has asked the 4 countries that patrol the Malacca Strait to set up an information sharing system. India emphasizes that while it wants to participate, it is not seeking to choke or militarily control the strait. This is crucial because nearly 40% of China's trade and oil imports pass through this choke point. India's motivations are clear: security of sea lanes, checking rising Chinese presence, Act East policy alignment, and maritime domain awareness and intelligence growth. However, Indonesia and Malaysia can become hurdles in this, as they have sovereignty concerns and often resist external military patrols within their waters. India also plans to deploy about 24 XL underwater unmanned vehicles. These are extra-large underwater drones, much larger than typical torpedo underwater vehicles. These drones are stealthier than diesel submarines in terms of acoustic detection signatures, but they carry much less firepower. However, they can deploy smart mines in narrow channels to block hostile shipping. And just like swarm drones that can confuse enemy air defense systems, multiple XL underwater unmanned vehicles could confuse enemy sonar by acting as false contacts. Spy missions are also a specialty of these systems. And now, the biggest development of them all, India is building a secret nuclear submarine base called INS Varsha. It is not located in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, but is very much part of India's broader network for sea control, undersea deterrence, and protection of interests. India already operates SSBNs and will soon acquire nuclear attack submarines. To support all these fleets, You need support infrastructure with hardened pens, secure technical areas, and logistics facilities. Its construction includes underground pens, and Phase 1 work is advanced with operational timelines discussed in recent reports, though public details remain intentionally limited for security reasons. By providing a protected environment for its nuclear-armed submarines, the base reinforces India's ability to launch a second strike in a nuclear conflict. The base will include its own harbor, logistics, command systems, and nuclear safety zones for secure operations. Enemy submarines are harder to detect, and ASWs more complex near coasts. This is because of the increased ambient noise from wind, waves, and shipping, which masks their sounds, as well as underwater features that hinder effective sonar use. That's why India has recently deployed the indigenous anti-submarine warfare shallow water craft INS Enroth. This ship is capable of detecting subs in noisy, shallow water environments, and it can also perform offensive missions, as it can carry torpedoes and lay mines, giving area denial options. The ship is the first among the 16 vessels India plans to deploy. As the name suggests, the ship is named after an island in the Lakshadweep group. Similarly, INS Arnala, which is expected soon, is named after Arnala Island in Maharashtra, and INS Anjadip is named after an island in Goa. The Navy is phasing them in over the next few years, and as more enter service, they'll be split between the Western and Eastern Naval Commands to cover both the Arabian Sea and Malacca Strait chokepoints. Giving the Andaman and Nicobar Islands the sharp teeth they require are the BrahMos coastal batteries. From 2014 to 2016, India raised the first BrahMos Coastal Defense Regiment in the Andaman and Nicobar Command. Reports mention batteries at Car Nicobar and Campbell Bay covering entry into the Malacca Strait. Between 2020 and 2022, following clashes with China in Ladakh, the government expedited plans to add more BrahMos regiments, not only on the mainland but also in the islands. I couldn't find any information on whether the ER version is deployed in the Andamans. I know they have been tested near the islands, and if they're deployed, this would allow coverage not just of the Malacca Strait, but deep into the eastern Indian Ocean and even parts of Myanmar and Indonesian waters. If the deployment is extensive with multiple batteries, India essentially creates an A2AD zone. And not to forget, most of the Indian Navy's modern destroyers, frigates, and corvettes are being equipped with this missile. India also possesses several long-range P-8I Poseidons for ASW missions. But the real game-changer is the C-295, especially because it will now be made in India. Primarily a tactical transport aircraft, it can have customized variants for maritime surveillance and ASW. They are smaller and cheaper to operate than the P-8I, making them ideal for persistent patrols around the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, where quick response to submarine threats is crucial. So, why the buildup? The obvious reason is Chinese assertiveness. But if we dig deeper, another reason is the promising discovery of energy resources, which is pushing India toward energy self-sufficiency. This is typical behavior because once energy resources are involved, states tend to increase their security posture to protect exploration and eventual extraction sites from threats like piracy, sabotage, foreign interference, terrorist attacks, etc. Apart from oil and gas reserves, the security of the Andamans is also necessary because these waters are rich in fisheries, rare earth minerals on the seabed, and potential seabed hydrocarbons beyond current discoveries. All of this comes in addition to chokepoint control, countering China, ASW dominance, and projecting power in the Indo-Pacific.